Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ajua and I hope this video finds you well. If you are new to this place, please consider subscribing, and to all my returning subscribers, thank you so much for your support and welcome back. In this video, I have grouped fragrances into some fragrance families, and in each family, I have picked my top 3, within which I'll pick my number 1. These are by no means the best of fragrances in the world, but these are the best according to my collection and according to my fragrance preferences. I have about 12 categories in these videos, which includes the best musk, the best vanilla, the best florals, the best woody, the best smoky, the best oud, among like a host of fragrance families. And I'm going to start off with the vanillas. We have here Metallico by Paris Corner, we have here Ebba by Rasasi, and then December Vanilla by Paris Corner. These 3 vanillas do not smell alike in any way. They are totally different scent profiles. They are quite unique. To me, these 3 vanillas are very unique. That is why they made my top 3. But if I want to be very honest with myself and narrow it down to my number 1, I think I'm just going to go with Metallico by Paris Corner. This is a very unique vanilla. It smells like vanilla ice cream with some aldehydes and some florals, and I picked this one as my number 1 because it is very unique. You don't meet a lot of people smell like this. It gives you Tom Ford metallic, but like a slightly watered down version, like a more wearable summer spring sort of version of the heavy metallic by Tom Ford. It is a very delicious vanilla ice cream scent that I love because nobody's going to smell like you. You're going to smell different. The other 2 that I also have as part of my top 3 gives you very similar exclusive feeling or experience, but this one I feel has a little bit of an edge over the other 2. That is why this is going to be my number 1 vanilla in my collection. The next category I have here are going to be my fruits, and when it comes to the fruits, I decided to do a purely fruity vibe fragrance and then citric, so the citric will follow after this one. But in the fruits categories, I have Signora by Fragrance World, which is supposed to be a clone for Perfume de Mali's Meliora, and then I have here Caltart Royal Blends by Latafa, and then I have here Madari, the OG Madari by Arabian Oud. These 3 fragrances, fruity fragrances, are phenomenal. Like, for me to choose them as my top 3 in my collection, or my top 3 fruity fragrances in my collection, they mean so much to me. I'm not like a quintessential fruity sort of person, but these ones they really do it for me. Then again, these 3 fruity fragrances do not smell alike in any way. They are totally different from each other. When it comes to Signora by Fragrance World, you are getting Parfum de Mali's Meliora, you're getting like the berries, the fruits, the musk, the vanilla. You're getting a very delicious, mouth-watering, juicy berries, grapes. It gives me church communion wine vibes. Like I always say, it's one of the best. It is a very simple fragrance, nothing too complicated, yet you can't go wrong when it comes to Signora. Caltart Royal Blends, on the other hand, gives you pineapple, gives you apples, in a general feel of a fruit bowl, like a very realistic sort of fruit bowl. You're not able to tell which one exactly it is. It is also quite woody at the base with some nutmeg and some cloves, which makes it quite spicy. It is totally different from a lot of fruity fragrance I have come across. And when it comes to Madawi, I'm getting some pineapple and apple blossom plus some heavy peach and a very heavy presence of patchouli. You need to love patchouli to be able to appreciate Madawi. So among these 3 fragrances, Madawi, Caltart Royal Blends, and then Signora, I'm going to choose Madawi simply because this one has some complexity that I appreciate. These ones are quite simple, especially Signora is quite simple. Caltart Royal Blend also has a bit of complexity to it. But when it comes to the scent profile, that peachy patchouli combination I love. So when it comes to my number 1 fruity fragrance, I'm going to choose Madawi over these 3. But I mean, these 3 are beautiful. That is why they made my top 3 fruity fragrances. The next category is going to be my citruses, and in this one I have Vibrant Vetiver Delights by Paris Corner, I have Nawatik by Ahmed Al Maghribi, and then Paris Corner Quartz, North Star Expression Quartz or Fourth. These are my top 3 citruses. Vibrant Vetiver Delight, which is like a lime or lemony, refreshing mojito sort of vibes. Then we have here North Star Quartz, which is essentially Sicilian mandarin, some zesty orange, peel. It is very citric, very zesty, very refreshing. Basically a realistic Fanta smell. It is very effervescent, very fun, very fun and playful. And the last one being Aquatic by Ahmed Al Maghribi. It has basil, it has some piney citruses to it, it has some cardamom. It is quite spicy and very citric. These 3 fragrances, honestly, they are some of the best citruses I have come across when it comes to any Middle Eastern, collection or fragrance, at least from the ones that I know. And if I'm supposed to choose one, I'm simply going to go with North Star Quartz the 4th, because this is simply delightful, very refreshing, a very simple fragrance. It has nothing complicated to it. It's a very simple Sicilian orange, Fanta, the ordinary Fanta that we drink, that fizzy, sparkling sort of Fanta vibes. It has that. It is very fun and very mass appealing. So this is going to be in my number 1 out of these top 3 citruses I have in my collection. The next category I have here is the gourmand or the sweet gourmand. And this was the hardest for me to, narrow down to 3, honestly, because I have quite a number of, sweet, delicious gourmand fragrances. And I guess, I couldn't really tell which one I would make my top 3, let alone my number 1. But I've been able to narrow it to 3, and I really stand by these 3 fragrances. These 3 are Dar Al Shuyuk by Dar Al Khalij. I have here Risela by Arabian Oud, and then the last one is going to be a new entrance to my collection. I've had this not too long ago, but as soon as I sprayed this fragrance, it blew me away. It is a Ghanaian owned fragrance house. I had heard so much about them and I wanted to pick up one of their, hot sellers. And this is going to be Spirit of Timbuktu by Magbansi. Honestly, I don't know why I have not, tried my indigenous, houses. I think this one is like an eye-opener, to me. I have really been impressed by this. It gives me something very delicious, gourmand. It says it has angelica, berries, and bergamot. I'll give it a full detailed review, so I'll not, go in depth into this today. But these are my top 3 gourmands: Dar Al Shuyuk by Dar Al Khalij, Spirit of Timbuktu, and then Risela by Arabian, Oud. They are also very different. This one is chocolate, saffron, rose. It doesn't have oud, but it gives you something like oud. It's been compared to Oud Bouquet and the Shagaf Ouds, but I think this one is a much better blend as compared to Shagaf Oud, because I've had Shagaf Oud in the past and I've decluttered it. It's very excellent. Shagaf Oud is one of the best to come out from Swiss Arabian, but this one I believe takes the cake over that. For now, I'm going to eliminate Risela, but this one made it to my top 3, so I'll give it the respect and then go on to the top 2, which are going to be Dar Al Shuyuk and then Spirit of Timbuktu. Spirit of Timbuktu is on this fragrance's neck. Honestly, I've always said this is like one of my best gourmands ever. I still stand by it. But Spirit of Timbuktu is on this, Dar Al Shuyuk's neck. It's like, move over, I'm the new queen. And I'm sort of, accepting the fact that this one is becoming the new queen. But out of respect for it being the longest in my collection, I'm going to choose Dar Al Shuyuk over, the other 2. This one I'll try and link. I think it's quite difficult to find. Anytime I post videos about it, people ask me, all the time. I'll link it, I think in Nigeria you can find it, in Ghana you can find it from Tel's Perfume GH. I've seen it elsewhere, so wherever I can find it, I will link it for you to see if you can get hold of it. But to me, the sweetest gourmand fragrance that I have here is going to be Dar Al Shuyuk. It has coffee, it has chocolate, it has some bergamot, plus other delicious, gourmand edible notes. I love this fragrance so much. But Spirit of Timbuktu is, actually on this one's neck. So maybe, you never know, next time that might be my number 1 gourmand. But for now, I'm still going to give it to this one simply because I love this one. It's very potent. It gives me a realistic coffee plus chocolate plus that's spicy sort of citric bergamot. You get at the opening. It's very well blended. There's I don't know, it feels so niche, it feels so well done. It feels like it's one of the simply one of the best, you know, gourmand fragrances I have come across in my, you know, fragrance journey. So that is going to be Dar Al Shuyuk by Dar Al Khalij. The next category I'm going to talk about are going to be the woods or the woody fragrances, the 3 best woody fragrances in my collection. And these are going to be Amir Al Oud Intense by Lattafa. I have here Sienna by F.A. Paris. And then I have here Udain also by Lattafa. So these are the 3, Amir Al Oud Intense, Sienna by Paris, no, F.A. Paris, and then Udain by Lattafa. Sienna has some precious wood, some oak moss, and then sandalwood. Whilst Amir Al Oud Intense has agarwood on agarwood. You know, it has agarwood in the middle, it has agarwood in the base, plus some other woodsy notes. And then we have Udain by Lattafa, which is also like woods upon woods. It has cedar, it has sandalwood, and it has woody or woodsy notes. These 3 fragrances are very heavy on the woods, so you need to appreciate woody fragrances before you can appreciate them. However, they are all boxed with something else or other notes, you know, to make them quite not like a straight jacket woody fragrance. Amir Al Oud, for example, has some vanilla in it, you know, which makes it quite delicious. Udain also has some cardamom, which makes it quite spicy. And then Sienna also has some, you know, the quintessential Baccarat Rouge DNA, which makes it quite sugary and delicious. So they are all woody at the base, you know, but they have other nuances, you know, which make them quite wearable, not like a straight jacket woody fragrance. Among these 3, I'm just going to go with Udain by Lattafa because it has like a very smooth, like each of these fragrances, you know, each of these 3 fragrances very smooth, but I think my preference is going to be Udain. It is very woody and Middle Eastern in nature, whilst this one, you know, are much more wearable to people who are quite new to woody oriental, you know, fragrance. The dry down is the best part of this fragrance, even though the opening is also very, you know, enjoyable. And I've even compared it to Amir Al Oud Intense because they give me like similar nuances, but I much prefer this, you know, over Amir Al Oud Intense. And when it comes to my 3 best woody fragrances, this is going to be my number 1 woody fragrance. The next 3 are the best musky fragrances I have, and these are going to be Rodrigo's Rouge by Fragrance World, Infinite Max by Alhambra, and then Eternal Max by Paris Corner. Do I need to say the winner here? Obviously, it's going to be Eternal Max by Paris Corner. Honestly, this is one of the best musky or musk, you know, that I have come across. Floral, simple, clean. It doesn't, you know, give you that abrasive sort of, you know, ambroxan heavy mask that a lot of, you know, musky fragrances have. This one is very clean. The mask here is very, you know, beautiful, very light, very feminine. It's one of the best, you know, I have come across as a fragrance in general. I love me Rodrigo's Rouge. I've raved about this for the longest time. You know, it's like very simple, powdery, irisy, you know, musky sandalwood, very, very beautiful, also very simple. And then Infinite Max, of course, with that delicious bergamot, I think black currants, white mask, some woody background, very, very beautiful. But amongst the 3, Eternal Max by Paris Corner, you know, is always going to be my number 1, you know, when it comes to a mask fragrance. So I'm yet to get a competition for this one. This one needs some, you know, serious competition. So someone should please recommend some very amazing Middle Eastern musky fragrances, you know, for me to try. But for now, this is going to be my number 1 musky fragrance. The next category I have here are going to be my boozy fragrances. And in this category, I have Hardwood by Fragrance World, I have Kismet Angel by Alhambra, and then I have Last Cherry by Fragrance World too. This is like cherry liqueur with some black cherry and some, you know, sour cherry, and those somehow translate into some booziness, you know, but it has the cherry, you know, liqueur. This is very beautiful. Honestly, it's, you know, everybody has raved about Lost Cherry in the past. This one is essentially, you know, like a very good dupe for Lost Cherry. It has the booziness, you know, but not like a very heavy boozy fragrance. Then we come to Kismet Angel, which has the note of cognac, you know, very sexy, sultry cognac, boozy, you know, quite masculine leaning. But, you know, if you love unisex masculine leaning fragrances, you're going to appreciate this. And the last one here being Hardwood, which is supposedly a clone for Bath and Body Works discontinued mahogany woods. These are quite boozy, the 3 of them quite boozy, but I mean, obviously Kismet Angel, takes the cake when it comes to these three. It has additional cinnamon and some vanilla plus other delicious, notes. But this one is, very heavy on the cognac, very boozy, very spicy, very strong. If you want to be the center of attention, Kismet Angel has, worked for me for all this while, and I would highly recommend this. I'm not even going to compare it to any other fragrance. I'm just treating this one as a fragrance on its own. It's the best boozy fragrance I have in my collection currently. So this is going to be Kismet Angel by Alhambra. The next category is going to be the powdery, and in this I have Junoon Noir by Al Haramain. I have its sister, which is going to be Junoon Rose over here, and then I have Liam Grey by Latafa. Liam Grey has some iris in it, whilst Junoon Rose has powdery notes, as part of the note structure, and Junoon Noir has orris and violet. These three to me are very beautiful. They are quite also very different from each other. I tried not to, put similar fragrances, in each category. I just wanted to give fragrances which are like very different from each other, but and can compete, with each other. That is why I chose very totally different note structure. And these, are like some of the best powdery fragrances I could find in my collection. But I'm going to give it to Junoon Noir in this case. I love this one. It gives me a very quintessential powdery, the orris and the violet in this one. Very beautiful powdery, coupled with that, fruity kumquat, which is quite different. It is a very polished fragrance, the powderiness in this one is not overwhelming. It's like the right, amount of powderiness, coupled with that delicious kumquat, the violet, the orris. I love the fact that when it comes to powdery fragrances, the ones that I have in my collection are not like quintessential powdery, baby powder sort of vibes, but they have something much more to them. And that is why I love Junoon Noir by Al Haramain. So this is going to be my number one when it comes to powdery fragrances in my collection. The next category I have here are going to be the florals, and in this I have Infinite Rose by Alhambra. I have Victory Vet by Eupholia, which is quite a lesser known Middle Eastern house, and then I am going to go with Adine by Pandora Saint Paris Corner. This is Adine. So heavy jasmine, rose on rose, Turkish and Bulgarian rose. Then I have Victory Vet, which has ylang ylang, jasmine, and then some lilies. But when I come through my collection, these are the best florals, that, spoke to me. These are going to be Adine, which is a dupe for Alien by Mugler. Then I have Infinite Rose, a dupe for Atomic Rose. And then Victory Vet, which is supposedly a dupe for Vet Malakit by Armani. These three are also totally different. They don't smell like each other at all. They are like polar opposites of each other. But I think I'm just going to go with Adine in this scenario because I love the jasmine in this. The heavy jasmine, that carnal indolic jasmine in this one, it is super special. I love the scent profile in general. I love the Alien DNA. I also love the Atomic Rose DNA. I love the Vet Malakit DNA. But I guess, this one is just calling me, it calls me most of the time. I prefer the jasmine in this one, totally different from the rest. But this is my best floral when it comes to a Middle Eastern, fragrance. So Adine by Pandora Saint Paris Corner takes the cake in this one. The next category is going to be the aquatic / freshy. Most instances I like my freshies boxed with some aquatic, nuances, and I have three of them here. These are going to be Fleur d'Orientica by Orientica, Roses the Emotion by F.A. Paris, and then Maya Natural Intense by Latafa. I don't have a full bottle, just like a decant of this one. It has some fig, some melon, some sort of cantaloupe melon, some coconut water, some water lilies, very aquatic, light, fresh sort of vibes. That is what, this one basically gives me. Then I come to the one I'm going to select as my best in this category, and this is going to be Roses the Emotion. This is the most beautiful feminine rose I have ever come across. Very light, very watery, very aquatic. It feels like it has some water lilies. It feels like it has this sort of, musky, like a very refined white musk, to it. I'm not too sure of the notes in this one. I've been trying to track down on the notes for this one for a very long time, but it feels like it has some roses the Maya sort of feel, very gentle, feminine roses, aquatic sort of, musky freshness. This is the most beautiful, hands down, the prettiest fragrance I have in my collection. Like when it comes to pretty girl fragrances, if you want to feel the most pretty, if you want to, feel like the most dainty, like the most, demure, you know, come across as the most daintiest, the prettiest, it is going to be Roses Emotions by F.A. Paris. You know, like my number one fresh aquatic, you know, musky floral fragrance is going to be this one. You know, it doesn't have any competition whatsoever, you know. Although the other two are some of the best I have in my collection, this one doesn't have any competition. So Roses the Emotion by F.A. Paris takes the cake when it comes to aquatic, you know, freshy fragrances in my collection. The next category is going to be the smoky, and in this we have Kaid Alpha Sun by Lattafa. I also have here by Lattafa Raw Human, and then by Lattafa again Mahé Black Edition. This one is the most smokiest fragrance, you know, I have in my collection, but it doesn't mean it's the best, you know, smoky just because it's the smokiest. However, I'm going to pronounce it the best smoky fragrance in my collection. It is not the most wearable fragrance to me at all. Their calls are smoky, earthy, you know, woody, animalic, you know, quite strong, quite masculine leaning. But to me, I would say this is the best smoky fragrance in my collection. For me personally, I find it a little hard to wear, but that doesn't stop me from loving this fragrance at all. The few times that I have, you know, worn this fragrance, I guess layer it with something vanillic, but on its own, after about almost 2 years in my collection, it's transformed. You know, I like it so much better than when I initially got it. I can't seem to get rid of this fragrance. There is something special about it. I just feel like I will find, you know, an occasion where it will fill or suit this one perfectly. So I'm not going to get rid of it. Never in my collection. I'm always going to have it in my collection. Although I find very, you know, less use for it, but I still consider it my, you know, my best smoky fragrance. I also have here Kaid Alpha Sun. It gives me charred or grilled pineapple. Smoke is very prominent or eminent in this one, but you also get that very strong pineapple in this one. So it's like a very heavy smoky pineapple fragrance. And then we come to Raw Human. I have no idea why nobody talks about Raw Human. It's very beautiful. To me, it's the best feminine gourmand version of Ombre Leather by Tom Ford. You know, that is essentially what this one is. If you think Ombre Leather by Tom Ford is quite masculine, but you still want that, you know, DNA, I think you should just check Raw Human out. It's mixed with that Ombre Leather DNA with some apricot, some plum. You know, it's like a gourmand version of Ombre Leather. So if you are looking out for something quite feminine but still in that Ombre Leather DNA, this is one to look out for. But you know, when it comes to these three, Mahé Black is going to be my number one. You know, it might not be for everybody. It gives me something like grilling tomatoes, you know, when you are having some barbecue and you are grilling other things and you add tomato to the, you know, to the grill. It gives me that sort of vibe. So I'm just going to say, if you have not tried this before, or if people have made this one to look super masculine, just give it a try. You know, get a sample or a decant, and I'm sure you might, you know, appreciate it so much better than how sometimes we make it come across. So this is going to be Mahé Black edition by Lattafa. The next category is going to be the amber. As we all know, or we might be aware, amber is not a note, you know, it's like an accord. It's like a fantasy sort of, you know, accord, which normally comes as a result of some heavy vanillas and, you know, heavy notes coming together to create this very intense, resonant, sort of rich feel in fragrances. And in this category, I have three, which are going to be Kaid, the original Kaid. Then I have here I'll Show You Gold by Lattafa, and then I have here Eternal Oud by Lattafa. These are very heavy on that, you know, amber sort of nuance. You know, it gives me this they all give me this very rich, intense, dense. They all have vanilla, you know, vanilla with some leathery, you know, accords, which, you know, come together to create this sort of amber nuances. And I love all these three. Eternal Oud, this one has some plum, you know, so it makes it like a fruity amber fragrance. This one is much more of a smoky leather, you know. It could have been in the smoky, you know, category, but I didn't want to put it because I didn't want to sort of, you know, put the same fragrances in like this more than one, you know, category. So this one is like a more resonance, thick caramel with the leather and some florals, you know, so heavy on the amber, heavy on the caramel, heavy on the vanilla. And then we have the OG Kaid, which is also a very beautiful, spicy cardamom, cinnamon, vanilla, leather, fragrance. So amongst these three, I'm just going to go with Ish I'll Show You Gold as one of the best amber fragrances I have come across. You get that very heavy, resonant, rich, thick, dense, intense vanilla, the suede or leather coming together, giving it a very rich, deep, resonance touch. It's one of the best amber, fragrances I have come across. So this is going to be Ish I'll Show You Gold by Lattafa. The next category I have here is going to be the ouds, and in this I have Ministry of Oud Satin Mood by Paris Corner. Then I have Soleil d'Ombre Jacques Juice by Fragrance World. And the last one is going to be Oud for Glory by Lattafa. I currently do not have Oud for Glory in my collection. I had it, I gave it to someone, the person who wanted it. I might, replace it. But those are the three fragrances which have made my top 3 oud fragrances. Soleil d'Ombre Jacques Juice by Fragrance World. This is your quintessential Middle Eastern oud with some raspberry, It was marketed as a dupe for Louis Vuitton Ombre Nomade, but after trying Ombre Nomade, it is not. However, on its own, it's a very quintessential Middle Eastern oud fragrance with some heavy raspberry and something quite, it has like a bitter sort of aftertaste, which makes it quite unique, Then we come to Ministry of Oud Satin by Paris Corner, essentially a 95% dupe of Oud Satin Mood by MFK, Violet, Oud Rose combo, a very beautiful one. And the last one is going to be Oud for Glory. And in this category, I think I'm just going to give it to Oud for Glory. That fragrance is simply impeccable. Even though I don't have that fragrance in my current collection, I still consider it as one of the greatest, oud fragrances I have come across. So the number one in this category is going to be Oud for Glory by Lattafa. The next category I have here is going to be the sexiest, and in this I have December Vanilla by Paris Corner, I have Spirit of Timbuktu by Mark Banksy, and then I'm going to go with Charuto Tobacco Vanille by Paris Corner. These three are the sexiest in my current collection. I'm standing by them. I love them. Charuto Tobacco Vanille, obviously I do for Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille, that beautiful tobacco and vanilla combination. Then I come to Spirit of Timbuktu, which gives me something sweet. It is very, very sweet, but it gives me like a very unisex sweet fragrance. It doesn't give me a quintessential feminine sweet fragrance. It is a very perfectly unisex fragrance in my opinion, but it's very sweet. So you need to appreciate sweet fragrances coupled with something that I perceive as vanilla, and a hint of the berries. I don't get a quintessential berry, nuance in this one as the nose stretcher, suggests, but I get something very vanillic, like a very spicy, fruity vanilla. The berries, not so much, it reminds me of something. So I'll just give you like the whole tea when I'm talking about this one, in depth. But honestly, it's a very sweet, sultry, sexy fragrance, like very sensual, very come hither, like, cats, that is sort of vibes. It gives me panty dropper, vibes. And the last one being December Vanilla. Obviously, patchouli, vanilla, rum, boozy. This is super special to me. It's one of the best I have come across for 2024. All these three fragrances give me temptation vibes, very sexy. But to me, I'm just going to go with December Vanilla, simply because this one is super special to me. This is super, super sexy, ultra sexy, like confident sexy, grown woman sexy, not like child's play sexy. It doesn't give me beautiful. It doesn't give me pretty. It doesn't give me girly. It gives me cougar. That is what I love so much about December Vanilla. So that is going to be my sexiest fragrance in my current collection. And the last category I have is going to be my signature scent, the top 3 signature fragrances, in my collection. And when it comes to signature fragrances, I think of it as a fragrance that everybody, is reminded of you, something that is very memorable, as soon as you walk into a room, everybody knows so and so has walked in, because, it's very memorable. Signature scent to me are not supposed to be anything simple. They're quite they're supposed to be special and memorable. So in this category, I'm going to go with Teriak by Latafa, Metallico, and then the last one is going to be Madawi Gold edition by Arabian Oud. Not the original Madawi, this is the Madawi Gold. These three to me are very signature worthy fragrances. They are unique, you know, they are potent, they are memorable, they are not like simple, generic. They don't give me simple, they don't give me every other person smells like the same. They don't, you know, give me that vibes at all. So it's Metallico by Paris Corner and Teriak by Latafa. These three fragrances are going to give some very positive impression. They are also quite strong and long lasting. So as a signature scent, if these are your everyday, you know, fragrances, you don't need to be topping up, you know, because maybe you're at work, you know, you're busy, you cannot be topping up in meetings and all. But these are very strong, you know, sort of, you know, impactful fragrances and not like obnoxiously strong to offend others. These are the three which made my top 3 signature scents, and among them I'm just going to go with Madawi Gold 40th anniversary because this one is super smooth, you know, there's some elegance, you know. These two also have the same elegance, but there is something quite special about this. It can go from the boardroom to after work parties to special occasions to everyday wear. It is essentially one fragrance that can fit almost all occasions, you know, year round from January to December. It fits like every season, hot, cold, humid. It is not super heavy, but it gives you a present and it's not like overbearing too. So this is going to be my number 1 when it comes to a top signature scent. That is all I have for you today, and I hope this video found you well. Please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in my next one. Take care. Bye bye.